There we go. Okay. Welcome to the live. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's called BratBusters.com. You get my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching, and there's a wait list for that, but I will get to you eventually. So I'm just trying to adjust something. Or you can listen to the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and you can watch us on YouTube if you want to watch us do it. Okay, so Fayette County, Alabama. Hi, Lori. Record heat here, Jocelyn. Yeah, I don't want to hear that because we got snow coming tomorrow. I lived in a hot climate in Australia, so I loved it. Brenda's from Tualatin, Oregon. Never heard of it. I'm sure I said that wrong. Sorry about that. Terry's from Vestaburg, Michigan. Okay, so I'm just here answering questions. If you have any, just feel free to put them down. I answer quite a few. I don't answer all of them as we get going because I like to throw out other stuff in too. Palawan, Philippines. Welcome, Tintin. Welcome. And I've got Maria here. So what are your parenting questions? Oh, I've got a few people on YouTube. YouTube actually isn't, it's pretty good. It used to crash a lot with lives. It hasn't been doing that lately, which is really good. YouTube isn't social media, so it's not really set up for lives quite the same way. It's a search engine. So I love YouTube. Love YouTube. Okay, so what are your parenting questions? Okay, this is Victoria. We've started following your philosophy in our household with 3 teenagers, and it's going really well. But my oldest, 16, is in a very toxic relationship with a controlling and dangerous partner. How can I help her to see her value and let this boy go? Well, you said the word dangerous, so it's very hard for me to comment on that if you truly believe it's dangerous. But this is what I say. You keep your friends close, you keep your enemies closer. If you don't like who your child is dating, your teenager is dating, I invite them over a lot, invite them over for dinner. But if this is a dangerous individual, there's different circumstances around that. So, but yeah. So yeah, if you criticize that person with your teenager, I don't think that's going to go very well. There's not much you can say. They have to learn that stuff for themselves, unfortunately. But if it's dangerous, then you might want to look into it further. That might be coaching. But if he is not dangerous, then I would just keep him close. Yeah. Okay, it's a tough one. I feel for you. Okay. This is from D on YouTube. Love your YouTube shorts. Thank you. My daughter does all that. Podcasting courses, Lisa. I love parenting thanks to you. Oh, that's really sweet. D in Melbourne. Oh, that's nice. My goal is not that you raise nice kids. That's just a byproduct. My main goal is that you enjoy your children. I want you to have fun parenting like I did. I want you to wallow in it. I want you to say that was the best time of my whole life raising my little kids. So yeah, that's always my goal. Happy family. That's my number one goal. Having nice kids is just a byproduct of all this. Okay, I'm just waiting for more questions. I'm not usually on at this time, a bit later, but we had daylight savings. I'm all confused. Okay, this is Emily Hurley on YouTube. I have a 5-year-old identical twin girls and a 4-year-old son. So you've got twin girls and a 4-year-old son. Boy, you were busy. 5 and 4, 1 year apart, 3 little ones. Wow. I'm struggling to have them listen and to follow through on simple tasks, even though I get down on their level and have eye contact. I don't do that. I do not do that at all. Just check out the free behavior board. It'll explain how to move forward if you want to follow my leadership stuff. But yeah, if you get down on their level and get eye contact, they're not listening to you. They don't care about that. It sounds lovely. It's more for you though. I don't do that stuff. So yeah, check out the free behavior board. It's set you up. It's to set you up as a leader, and then they will listen to you. People seem to think that they can reason with their kids to get good behavior, and they can explain everything to get good behavior. Well, you shouldn't do that because of this. They're not listening to you. It's the consequences that teach them right from wrong. Okay, they already know right from wrong, by the way, but it's the consequences that give them self-control because they don't want to have a consequence, right? And you're on that board too. That's what makes you a leader. If you're not on that board, you're just a dictator. So you want to be a leader. Okay, so I'm just waiting for more questions. Very slow with questions tonight. How interesting. I'm not usually on at this time, so it might be a different crowd. Okay. Well, while I'm waiting, I'll just read. Oh, I just got another question from Ray. I have a 4-year-old girl and due with baby boy soon. Any tips on how to make that transition go well? She's very excited. Okay. She's very excited by expecting some regression and more attention seeking when the time. Not necessarily. She's 4 years old. She can understand stuff like that. Okay, so when the baby comes along, you want to include them. Like if you're feeding the baby, you want to make sure that you're reading a book with your 4-year-old. Include them in all that stuff. You know, my son was 5 when his sister was born, and there was no transition time at all because I wasn't talking to her. I was feeding her, changing her. I was still talking to my son. We didn't miss a beat. We were chatting all the time. When I was feeding her, we were chatting. Or if I had to go out and hang up laundry, I'd put her in his lap. You know, he at 4 years old, you might not be able to do that, but he was a very responsible 5-year-old and very gentle. So he was just, we didn't skip a beat. And because I was still chatting with him all the time, we talked a lot. So yeah, just keep chatting to connect, right? Just keep the connection going. You don't have to be playing with them all the time, but you can just keep that chatty connection going because you got a 4-year-old, right? And they're talking very well at 4 usually, so. My 16-month-old hits his head on the ground when he's mad or upset. Yeah, you just physically restrain them. If you see it coming, just hold them. And don't, if they're having a tantrum, you don't look at them or talk to them. You just physically restrain them because he's still sort of just coming out of the baby phase. Or if he does it all the time and you can't always catch him before he does it, get him one of those foam helmets. Check it out online. I got lots of clients who've got that, and they said they hate having that thing put on. They start to connect the dots. Wait a minute. If I go to hit my head, that helmet's going on my head. Supervise them while it's on. I don't know how safe those things are, but they were intended for children with disabilities, you know, who had seizures and that. But they're just a lightweight foam helmet, and kids don't like having them on. They're actually, one of them I saw was hard, like a harder foam. And I saw another one that was like a really soft, pliable foam. So, but it was for wrestlers, that kind of thing. I don't know, but just check it out. I can't validate, like I can't back it because I don't know anything about them, but that's up to you to supervise while it's on. They hate having that thing put on. What's the first step to being a leader to my 2- and 4-year-old boys? Different stages. Check out I guess the first step with the 4-year-old would be the behavior board. And then just start with that and check that out. The behavior board is completely free on my website. It also has a toddler section, and you're setting yourself up as a leader by doing that. There is no real first step. It depends what's going on in your household, right? So I don't know. Are they having tantrums? That would be the first step. How to manage a tantrum. Are they being physically aggressive? Maybe that would be your first step. Depends on what the kids are doing. Any wisdom, this is Emily, on how to handle a runner indoors? My 2.5-year-old runs every time I try to use consistent corrective action or take her from fun. How do I not turn it into a game of tag? Oh, you got to get there first. So yeah, just kind of look like you're not paying any attention. Then as soon as you get near, then you grab the wrist or whatever, and then you use consistent corrective action. That reminds me of when people ask me, how do we get a kid to leave the park? Because as soon as we say we're going, they take off. I say you walk by casually, grab their wrist, and then say you're going. So you're kind of preventing it. You're stepping in before they even have a chance to run, if possible. Citrus Heights, California. What a pretty sounding place. I just envision a whole bunch of lemon trees. Okay, I'm just going to read this out because there's probably other parents going through it, but I can't give you any advice on that, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Any advice for a 2.5-year-old who won't eat? He's in occupational therapy, working on textures, but still only drinks Pediasure. Okay, I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor, so I can't comment on that. But yeah, good that you have them in occupational therapy because they would be better qualified for that. But a lot of parents go through that, even if they don't have any issues or whatever. They often, little kids sometimes will eat, sometimes they won't. And you got to get food into them somehow, right? So, yeah, but it's quite common with toddlers. Some toddlers don't care about food much. Like my son was more like that. Food was just not important to him, whereas my daughter always loved food. So yeah, it was easy to get stuff into her, but he didn't always care about it. But whenever I was feeding him, I'd put food in front of him. I'd chat with him. I was sitting and chatting, and I was often eating at the same time. So he just followed suit, right? But yeah, you got more going on there if they've got other stuff going on. Okay. This is Leah on YouTube. Hello again. Did you teach your kids to fight back or turn the other cheek and tell an adult if there was someone that hit them, bothering them? Whenever it was anything physical, I always said an adult needs to be brought into it. If it's just verbal bullying, no, I taught them how to deal with bullies. But yeah, an adult needs to get involved if there's physical violence and aggression going on, for sure. An adult needs to be involved. And then another question on YouTube: would you sleep train a 5 and 3-year-old sleeping in the same room at the same time? Sometimes you can give it a go. If not, if you think it's just going to be a total disaster, you do the most difficult one first, and you take the other one out and keep them in your room. Just put them on a mattress on the floor if you want, whatever. And then you work on one, then you pull the other one, put them on a mattress in your floor, and work on the other one. They will adjust to when they both go back in their room. It's a tough one, by the way, the bedtime battles. It's a tough one. I have a whole system on that. If you want to look into my courses, or I've probably got a podcast. If you just Google anything like BratBusters and put anything in there, I've got hundreds or thousands of videos, thousands of videos and lots of podcasts on any topic, really. The only thing that's not out there for free, you have to buy the course to get it, is potty training. It's a whole system. It's quite involved. So we've put that in both the courses, the boot camp courses. But everything else, you could sort of search around forever and find everything, almost everything that's in the courses. But whenever you buy a course, it's just everything's organized and managed for you, right? That's sort of the way it's done. You asked about thumb sucking. I knew someone years ago that didn't even have thumbprints because in his sleep, he sucked his thumb right through his teen years. So yeah, didn't have any thumbprints. Isn't that interesting? That's a really tricky one. The only thing that you could try is replacing it with something else. I would even, I can't really talk about this because you may not want to do it. But I mean, what I mean is, I don't know, it's not good for them to have a dummy. I would rather them get addicted to a dummy to get them off the thumb sucking, because it's easier to take a dummy away than a thumb. You can give that a go if you want to. That's your decision, right? I don't like the idea of them getting addicted to a dummy either, but I'd rather them being addicted to a dummy that I could take away one day rather than the thumb. Can't take their thumbs away. I've never heard of anything working like the bitters and all that stuff, or Band-Aids. Oh, I won't talk about, think about it. If you put a Band-Aid on a thumb and they're sucking on it in their sleep, that could be dangerous, right? So yeah, I would stay away from that personally. Okay, this is Issa. Okay. How do I ignore the tantrum to follow through with what I want to have set place when they end up saying they want a hug? I feel like I'm doing this all wrong. My kids definitely have the control and I want it back. Okay, so they're having a tantrum and they say, I want a hug. That's not a love hug they're after. That's a pull. Come on, join me in this tantrum. It is not a love hug. When they're having a fit, because a tantrum is not full of big emotions and feelings, it's a loss of emotional control at not getting their own way. They're just mad, okay? And they'll say anything to pull you into it to get your attention. I hate you. Nobody loves me. Oh, yeah. I want a hug. That's what they're doing. They're just trying to pull you in. It is not a love hug that they're asking for. They're just trying to get you into that tantrum. They're trying to control you, okay? And then after the tantrum too, they get the hiccup cries. They're finished. Then you say, because as soon as they finish a tantrum, you say, oh, you all done? Do you want to go read a book or something else, whatever? And then if I need a hug, I still don't give a hug at that point because they're still coming out of it. They're still kind of in that zone. So what I would do, because now you're talking to them because they're finished with the tantrum, but they're in the tantrum hangover. So I would just pat them on the back and say, you're all right. Let's go read a book. And they can curl up in my lap, but I'm not like, oh, it's okay. They're still kind of trying to pull you into that zone. They're still trying to control you. They want to be coddled because they just had a tantrum. And they might be a little bit upset over that, but that's too bad. They'll learn, okay, a tantrum is just based on a loss of emotional control and not getting their own way. That's it. It's just about anger. You don't need to validate that. How to stop biting in a 2-year-old daycare ready to kick him out. They have to, because other parents can't have their kids turning up with teeth marks and bruises. So it's really unfortunate, but that's a really tricky one. If you're not there, there's nothing you can do. It has to be in the moment. Okay. You have to, that's what 2-year-olds, you have to use consistent corrective actions, right? You have to be with them is what I'm saying. It's nothing you can do once you're home. If you let them get away with stuff at home and bite you at home, they're more likely to do it elsewhere. But they're probably not doing that because you're probably not grabbing their toys off them, right? Like other kids will. And they're not their toys. They belong to the daycare. But yeah, you have to be there. And it's a tricky one. Oh, you asked about autism. I only discuss autism in coaching because it's more of a special needs thing. And I need a whole bunch of context around that. Okay. And I do have a wait list for coaching if you want to work with me, but I'll get to it eventually. Okay, this is Cora. Wondering, what do you do for a 2-year-old having a meltdown over like something not working right or failure? Is it the same as a tantrum? Yeah, it's the same thing. Yep, it is. They got to learn. Everything's not going to go their own way. And that's what that is. Didn't go my way, and then they have a fit, and that's okay. Let them have that fit. That's all right. Hi, Tabitha. Going to see. Yeah, I've been doing a lot more lives lately. I missed it. You should tell Amy when you do a live on Monday or Wednesday night so you can give us a hint on next day's podcast. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I don't. I never know what's coming. She makes me watch all the podcasts lately, though. It's agony. Anyway, I don't know why she's doing that to me. But anyway, yeah, I have to listen to myself. It's agony. But yeah, that might be a good idea, actually. I might just ask her now. I'll ask her. I think I just watched it this morning. I can't remember. I don't listen to myself. What's tomorrow's podcast? The live. For the live. I never know. She might not want me to talk about it. I don't know. She's in charge of all that stuff. Okay, this is J. John, 9-month-old hitting 3-year-old. I hate screaming at the little, you can't. But I think she learned it from her older sister. Okay, you just have to pick her up. That's all you can do. Oh, I see. Okay. Tomorrow's podcast is stop reacting when your child yells and do this instead. There you go. I don't even remember watching that one. I must have. Yeah. Okay, I like that one. So stop reacting when your child yells and do this instead. That's the Tuesday morning podcast coming out tomorrow morning. Yeah, it is a good one. Yeah, I like that one. Please address biting in a 2-year-old. As I just said with this other question, you have to be there because under the age of 3, you use consistent corrective actions. They're not about words at all. They're at all. You know, all this getting down their level, holding their hands, getting eye contact, saying use your words, discussing it. It's absolute crap, okay? They need consistent corrective actions. If they bite, you say no, and then you remove yourself or remove them fun from them. So you're taking fun away. It's either you or a toy, or you're removing them from the fun. So there's got to be a quick action, a quick negative that they attach to biting, okay? And don't let them keep getting more bites in. Like that's another problem too, is a lot of parents will, they bite you and then they end up biting you again. You got to be careful with that because it's like muscle memory. They get used to doing it and it gets more and more comfortable biting all the time. So after that first bite, I'm on guard at that point. I'm like, no. And I just, don't let them continue biting. That's important. Waking up at 5 a.m. Oh, that's so cute, Tabitha. We love doing the podcast. Yeah, we started that a 1.5 years ago. That was all Amy. It's all her idea. She's in charge of all that stuff. Okay, so I'm scrolling ahead to make sure that you're still here when I answer your question. Okay, this is a good one, Becca. My 6-year-old does what my 3-year-old does when I'm not in the room. I don't know how to manage the behavior both. So in other words, I'm assuming it's naughty behavior, right? You do the interview. You say, okay, so what happened? And then, oh, he did this, she did that, all that stuff. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you each 2 minutes. Start with the little one because they're not going to have the patience. and you write down, you get like a pen and a pad in front of you, split it down the middle, put their name at each, other side. And then you say, so tell me what happened. You get 2 minutes. Tell me what happened. Write it all down. Just don't react to anything. And then what happened? Then what happened? And then you say, okay, time's up. Now you've got 2 minutes. So tell me what happened. Blah, 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 blah. You should be able to figure out at that point. If you can't, you might give them each 1 more minute. But yeah, the little one won't be able to lie very well. The older one would be more likely to lie better. But the thing is, if you really can't figure it out with older kids especially, then you say, I'll tell you what, I can't figure out what happened. I'll look at this again later. An hour later, do another interview. Lies will change. They'll buff it up, right? But the truth never changes. They may buff it up a little bit, but the facts aren't going to change. So do the interview. I have a client, I thought this was so cute. I've had a few clients say this actually, but the first time I heard it, I thought it was so cute. They said that they heard their kids starting to fight in the other room. And then one of them said, let's stop fighting. The interview. They didn't want to go through it. Make it boring, drag it out. So yeah, they get sick of that, right? I thought that was so cute. Oh, let's stop fighting. The interview. You can usually tell. You learn a lot that way. Plus, you're giving them a voice, right? And it's harder for them to lie when the other one's right there listening too, and it's quite interesting. Okay. I have a 2-year-old who isn't talking yet. Would you consider frustration due to not being able to communicate a tantrum? No, not at all. No, not at all. Tantrum is just something they're born to do. And at 2, a lot of them don't communicate effectively. And they're quite comfortable with that. No, that I could go on about that, but I don't know. But yeah, no. A tantrum, they don't care if you understand them. They just care that they get what they want. Right? They don't care if they're understood. They're not there yet. They just want what they want. Okay, I've got to get going over to Instagram now. I'm on YouTube the whole time. If you want to follow me over to Instagram, it's BratBusters Parenting. If not, you can check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my toddler boot camp course. It's more of a reactive course. It's got all sorts of stuff in there. We're reacting to what your toddler comes up with. They don't all come up with stuff, right? So it's more like that. There's no set plan with the toddler course. The other course is quite different. It's a 5-week plan on how to set yourself up as a leader. It's all based on you. So is the other one. I'm teaching parenting here, not kidding or toddlering or teenagering. So it's all based on you. Okay, and then you can also look into coaching if you want to work with me. I've got a wait list, but I'll get to that eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms and we save it on YouTube. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to Instagram and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Happy parenting. Sorry, YouTube. You have to watch me button push. That's all I'm doing here. Okay, there we go. This is Walter. It's my granddaughter. I like to do little videos with Walter for her. And then I show them to her. I have her 1 day a week. And so I'll film a video and then I'll show it to her when I see her. And I usually take myself out of it. So yeah, they love stuff like that. Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Okay, we got enough people in there. I'm just going to introduce myself and then we'll get going. Oh, how sweet. I love your channel. Please don't stop what you're doing. Yeah, I think I'll still just be heading into the grave and I'll still be doing this. I love what I do. It's more of a passion business than anything. I'm in the caring field and this is my legacy. So I hope I don't have to stop. But anyway, okay. So check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board. You can look into my 2 courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. The one for older kids is a 5-week course. It's very planned out and organized. The one for toddlers is more of a free-for-all. You sort of just read what you need to read. because all toddlers are different. They're going to come up with, like, if your child never has a tantrum, you don't have to read tantrum stuff, right? Anyway, and then you can also look into coaching if you want to work with me one-on-one. There's a wait list for that, but I'll get to that eventually. Or you can look into the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch us. My daughter and I do it together. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And I'm here answering questions and throwing some other stuff in. So, and I'm on YouTube the whole time also. Okay. So hard to watch you button push. I apologize every time you say, yeah, it just sounds boring. Like, I hate boring people. I was raised in a very funny family, and there was never 1 second of silence. And we were always talking over each other. So that's how I was raised. Silence makes me awkward. I get very awkward with silences. Some people don't. But yeah, I do. That's why. Okay, so let's get going. I've heard of those tantrumless kids like Amy. I just don't believe it. Yeah, I never had a tantrum either. It's something that you're born to do. My daughter never had one. My son had them. He didn't have a ton of them, but he had tantrums, and he grew out of them by 3. But yeah, I think he had one more with his dad. But it wasn't a full-blown tantrum. It was more just, he was upset about something and mad about something, so he let his dad know. But yeah, you're either born to have them or you're not. It doesn't mean that we're perfect. It just means we just didn't have tantrums. That's all. How many siblings do you have? I have one brother, and he's like 16 years older. So we were both raised as only children, sort of, because he wasn't fighting me for my Barbies, put it that way. If he was, I'd kind of be worried about him. But yeah, so just that. And I was adopted later in life, which is why there's such a big split. I wasn't later in life. My parents were. I was a newborn when I was adopted. There's a lot of biting questions. I've already talked about that a few times on the other platform. So if you want to know how I answer that, I just don't feel like talking about the same thing repeatedly because it's hard for me to do that over and over again. So you can actually you can watch this live if you want, or you can look up BratBusters biting. I've got thousands of videos out there. Okay, how can I teach my 1-year-old to stop breastfeeding at night? He refuses to fall asleep without it and cries a lot. Yeah, that's sleep training stuff. I did both of my kids at about 10 months old, sleep training. I thought they don't need this. I remember my daughter getting up, and I was breastfeeding her in the middle of the night, and she was about 10 months old. And I remember saying to her, I said to her, you don't even need this. You just want mommy's attention. And she went like that. She knew that she had to pretend that she was really hungry. That was pretty clever the way she did that, I thought. But anyway, so what I did, and I don't talk about this a lot because it's really hard to do. And I don't know if it's the perfect thing to do because I teach leadership. This isn't so much leadership. This is baby management stuff. That's a little bit different, right? This is what I did with both my kids. They were both, I think, 10 months old, and they were both waking up in the middle of the night for a feed. I knew they didn't need it. Anyway, so this is what I did. When they woke up in the middle of the night, I went in there, and they were standing up, I think, on the crib by the time I went in there. And I went in there and I laid them back down, covered them up, and I patted them on the back, and I said, you're okay. And then I left the room. And for maybe a minute, and I sat outside and I shut the door. I sat outside the door with a pillow on my face, crying into it. It was agony listening to them cry. And then I'd go in again. I'd do the same process. And then I think I did the minute. And then the next time I did 2 minutes, the next time, and by about 3 or 4 minutes, they were asleep. And I went in there, just consoled them. Then by the time they fell asleep, I went back in and tucked them in because they probably were all over the place when they fell asleep, right? One leg hanging out of the crib, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's ugly. I hated doing it because if a baby cries, I pick them up. I spoil a baby with love. I don't discipline toddlers, but I thought they don't need this. I don't need it anymore. I'm tired. I want to stay asleep. So it's tough to do though. I found it really painful. 5-year-old daughter is slamming doors at me. Okay, that just means that you don't get respect. It's not, she doesn't respect you. That's why she's doing that. So I would put down no slamming doors as the rule on the behavior board. Okay, just put it down there. Whenever she slams the door, there's a consequence. The behavior board's completely free. It's on my website. It'll teach you how to go through that process. Okay. How do I become a calm leader? Just keep watching. If you want the training wheels with all this, that is the free behavior board. Or you can get the courses. They go into a lot more detail, obviously. So yeah, just keep watching. Whole bunch of stuff. I don't have one sentence to answer that. Okay, you got a 7-year-old who stole toys out of your sister's house without, okay. So you just say, no stealing is on the behavior board, or I would address that right away. I say, by the way, you stole, so there's going to be a consequence. And then check out the behavior board, how you do consequences. And then I would say, from now on, stealing is on the behavior board. Just say it like it is. No stealing is the rule, okay? So, and then just say, here's your consequence for stealing. And they obviously have to hand it back. I remember once when I was a kid, we had this, I didn't know these neighbors, they were new. We never had them over again. She stole my Barbie by putting it down her pants and trying to walk out with it. And I knew she'd done it. And I told my mom before she left, I said, she's got my Barbie in her pants. Oh, it was awful. I remember that. Yeah, we never had those kids over again. They didn't stay in the neighborhood for long. They were pretty wild. I remember their name. I won't say the names, but I remember the name and everything, even though they weren't there that long. Just, I was so upset. How to not take it personal when toddler gives or is worse with mom than dad or whatever. Yeah, I can't help you with your own emotions. That's up to you. Okay. Like that's up to you to just say, oh, well, they're just going to be different with each parent. And you can take it personally, but that's up to you to get control over that. Remember, they're just tiny little people. They're going to be different with everybody. Okay. So yeah, they're just toddlers. They're just kind of crazy. I'm going to read my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Okay. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, you connect with toddlers in their world, not in your world. You don't take them to the nail salon to connect with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill. They just look at you differently. Number 4 is similar. You discipline toddlers in their world. They're not about words. They're about actions. A toddler is 16 to 35 months, the way I break it down. A lot of parents are doing these mini therapy sessions discussing all their behavior and everything. It's ridiculous. You use consistent corrective actions because they learn through repetition. That means as soon as they do something naughty, you say no and you remove fun from them or them from the fun. Or you can just remove yourself if you've got nothing else to remove. You can just sort of say no and then just sort of wander out and do the dishes or whatever. So yeah, that's disciplining. Number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. Okay, you can't figure them out. They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. They haven't developed common sense yet, so stop trying to make sense out of them. They're not there yet. Alex, I was adopted at birth as well. I'm expecting my first in August. Love watching your videos. Excellent. Sometimes I'll get a client and they want to talk about adoption. So they've got an adopted child. When do I tell them that they were adopted? My mom told me, I think I was 2 or 3, and I can remember it, because she was getting all serious and I didn't quite understand it. I didn't care. So I wasn't in your tummy. I was in someone else's tummy. I just didn't care. And I grew up hearing about being adopted all the time. And it was always treated like I was really special because I was chosen. And so, yeah, secrets imply shame. If you hold a secret or you talk about it like it's a secret, that's implying shame. I bragged about being adopted. I loved it. So yeah, I thought I was special because I was chosen, and nobody else was special because they were just had. Great grandma of 3. Oh, hi, Ilman. I'm just a grandmother so far, and I've just got one little one, darling little girl. Okay, any advice for helping guide a highly sensitive and anxious 9-year-old boy, very socially aware and well, I don't have a lot of information here. I say the general advice is just check out my free behavior board. If you want more information, you can go into the boot camp course. That goes from 3 to 12 years old. It's all this leadership stuff. Your leadership is what tends to calm them down. You're not talking about calming down with them. You stay calm, and that sort of helps them. So, because they're watching you, right? Conscious what? What's conscious? Someone just wrote down conscious. I don't know what that means. Any advice for a 3-year-old who gets upset and screams at daycare? Well, I don't address screaming, but if it happens at daycare, there's 2 reasons why they tend to act out at school or daycare. Oh, she's 3. Would that be preschool or kindy or something? Anyway, might just be daycare. It's different in every country and all that. Anyways, she's screaming at daycare. Are you a pleaser parent at home? Like, does everything go her way at home? That tends to make it harder for them to adjust to daycare or anything else. So if you're catering to them, trying to avoid scenes, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I don't avoid scenes. If they're going to have one, I'm like, goody, there's my opportunity to exercise my leadership, right? So yeah, do you kind of avoid scenes, try and give in to her, letting her get her own way a lot? Because when they go to daycare, that's not going to happen. They got a bunch of kids they're looking after. All the toys are shared. So that's often what happens. I may be wrong, but that often is what happens. How do you explain to an older sibling 4 why you don't discipline the toddler sibling 2 the same? Just say because you're 4 and it's different. I don't go into that. The reason why they're asking that usually is they're challenging you. But if they're just curious, just say, well, I'm disciplining the little one the same way I did with you when you were 2. When they're 4, I'll be disciplining them the same way I do you, which will probably be the same at that age, because by the age of 3, you're disciplining them all the same way. Oh, advice on how to set more clear boundaries with 4-year-olds. She has all of a sudden started to respond to no by hitting, yelling, and lashing out. As I said, check out the behavior board. She's just pushing her weight around. She doesn't respect you. Okay. So you got to earn that. Don't expect it to happen. Don't blame her for her behavior. You got to work on your leadership skills. So she just doesn't respect you. It's just a tell. That's all it is. I'm not fixing kids here. I'm fixing and teaching parents. I worked with hundreds of kids, troubled teens. I managed to get respect with them all. So it's always you, right? It's never them. The older they get, the harder it was. The more challenging they were, the harder it was. But I still managed. I earned it. I worked for it. And if they acted out under my care, I was just a volunteer mentor. If they acted out under my care, this is the way I did it. I thought to myself, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? A leader always looks in the mirror. You look to yourself. Okay, so just set yourself up as a leader. The training wheels with all this is the free behavior board. If you want more, go to the boot camp courses. If you want more, that's coaching. This one's funny. Nobody know anybody. Anyway, one more question. What should we do if our son throws himself on the floor when we take him away from an activity he is enjoying? He does it every time. So let him do that. That's okay. That's just him. Very theatrical drama, like trying to upset you. Yeah, whatever. If he throws himself on the floor and he lays there for a while, you got a break now. You can go and read a book or something. Yeah, that's okay. He's just trying to make you feel bad. He's just drama. And check out how I handle tantrums. Tantrums is a very specific method of doing that. You ignore the crazy and you reward the calm. So when they're having a tantrum, you're just filing your nails, look like you're waiting for a bus. As soon as it's done, oh, you all done? Do you want to go read a book or do you want to go help me do the dishes? Then you connect. If he starts up again, go whoops, and then ignore again. A tantrum is not full of big emotions and feelings. It's a loss of emotional control, not getting their own way. They are just mad, okay? They didn't get what they wanted. That's all it is. Hello, will behavior get worse when I'm being consistent with a toddler? By the way, it often gets worse before it gets better. It wouldn't do that with me, by the way, because I have no history with your kids, okay? But you've got history of not doing it this way. So they often get worse before they get better because they were used to being in control before. They were making you angry, right? You were whatever. So yeah, they often do get worse before they get better. It's like, well, wait a minute, hitting you and all that. And then if you don't give in, you're just ignoring the tantrum, they're going to get worse because they remembered the old you that used to look at them and talk to them and give in. So yeah, you got to overcome your past with your kids first, right? Whereas I don't have that. If I went in, I'm already a leader. I'm a level 10 leader with all this because I invented all this stuff. So, but yeah, and I have no history with them either. So yeah, I got to do a bit of repair work first. Although sometimes everything's easy from week 1 when I'm coaching people. That happens. I've had a couple of clients this week. If you're watching, you know who you are, doing really, really well right away. So we've sort of moved ahead with coaching and then we're stretching out the sessions. I'm not going to waste their time and money. If they don't, if everything's going great, I don't want to waste your time, just call me when you need me. So yeah, I've got a 2 or 3 clients right now like that. So that can happen too. It can all happen really fast. Then there's always stuff that we tweak as things go on. Thoughts on daycare before 3-year-olds? Well, I don't have a thought. Daycare is not usually something parents choose. It's something that they need. Although I have had families who say the mom just needs a break or the dad just needs a break, so they put them in daycare. Whatever works for your family. There is no right and wrong with that, right? It's, do you need it or do you want it? That's okay. They learn different skills when they go to daycare. For one thing, they usually learn how to share pretty quickly, or they learn that there's injustices in the world and they're not always going to get to play with what they want. So they learn that skill really young. They also learn a lot of social stuff earlier when they're young. But when let's say that you've never done daycare, they catch up really quickly later on. So it's not like they've got an edge forever. It's just they learn things earlier. So there's pluses and minuses to everything, right? Do you let your toddler walk around during story time at library when it's supposed to be quiet, listen to story? Depends on the age. Yeah, I usually, with my granddaughter, I do that a lot. And she just sits in my lap, basically. But if she didn't, I just walk around with her, as long as she's not disturbing it. I don't have a problem with that. She's 2. But yeah, they're used to that, right? That's what they do. They read stories to toddlers. They're used to them wandering around. As long as they're not disrupting the story, I wouldn't. Sometimes what'll happen is, I've seen this when I'm with my granddaughter, is that some other little kid will go up and try and grab the book off the reader, and parents don't always step in, which they should. So they'll let the kid, she just wants to look at the book while they're reading it to the whole group. So that I would certainly intervene with that. Oh, excellent. Happy about that. Lantas, Ian, maybe Ian. Oh, I need the age. Put down an age when you're asking a question. There was one there I would have liked to have answered, but very different answer depending on the age. Oh, excellent. Morgan, by the way, thank you. We've implemented so much of your advice and we are finally feeling like leaders. Perfect. That means you're doing the work. It's easy for me to sit here and talk, but you're putting in the work. Good for you. It does work. I had a client a few years ago, and she didn't say much during sessions, to the point where I was kind of confused. She wasn't responding to much I was saying. And I don't know why I didn't ask her about it. I don't know why. I just thought, okay, we'll just go with it. And then I think it was on the 3rd session, she turned up all smiles. And I said, what's going on? And it was the first time she'd really looked at me, and we sort of chatted. And I said, what's going on? She goes, it's working. And I said, what's working? The whole time I was talking in the first 2 sessions, she was just writing stuff, making notes. And she goes, yeah, it's working. I just removed emotions through discipline and had more fun with the kids. And I just did whatever you said. She goes, I just did it. She said, I just did it. I can't remember what job she had, but she did tell me I could tell this story, by the way. And she just did it. And the results were phenomenal, like really quick. And she just did it. I thought that was really cute. She kind of threw me for a loop. I've never had anyone just did it. Removed all emotions, just followed through, did whatever I said, and it worked. Wow. Usually emotions get in the way. And, I thought that was, and she took phenomenal notes too. She showed me, she wrote down basically everything I was saying. How do I set myself up as a leader? Just keep watching. It takes a while to learn all this. You might want to go to the podcast. The podcast goes into a lot more detail. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. Actually, you heard that alarm. I kind of have to move over anyway. So I'm just going to say I'm moving over to TikTok, and I'm on YouTube the whole time whenever I'm doing a live, through Facebook, Instagram, then TikTok. And if you don't want to join me over on TikTok, you might want to check out my website. It's called BratBusters Parenting. No, it's not. It's called BratBusters.com. Anyway, I get all mixed up because I say this so many times. It's called BratBusters.com, and you can get my free behavior board, my boot camp course for toddlers, my boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds. They're both intended to set you up as a leader, or you can look into coaching if you want to work with me. That's obviously intended to set you up as a leader. I have a wait list that I'll get to eventually. Or if you don't want to do any of that, you can just listen to the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch us film it. It's my daughter and I. We work together and we do the podcast together. Anyway, happy parenting. I'm hopping over to TikTok. Oh, I'm on the wrong. Oh, shoot. I'm on the wrong. I have another channel. I don't post on there hardly ever. I've done that before. I've started up my live on the wrong TikTok channel. I've done that many times. And because of that, I don't usually even go on that channel on my phone because of that. So prone to it. Okay, I'm just waiting for a few more people. Hi, Brianna. Brianna says, hi. Brianna, I'll move from Instagram. Okay. I never know how many people, like it never looks like there's very many people on a live, but people come and go. Like I'll get thousands of people in on a live, but it only looks like maybe a few hundred, but people come and go. That's why I scroll through a lot of questions just to make sure you're here when I answer your question. Okay, I'm just waiting for a few more people to turn up before I introduce myself. Brianna said, my 2-year-old gets water from our machine and fills cup. Oof. Is that one of those fridge things? I'd be turning that off. If it's a problem, if they just fill it up and drink it, fine. But yeah, I'd be turning that off, the 2-year-old. Oh, I had, I don't know where I saw it. It was a video maybe of someone I watched. And she said, oh, her toddler had a bad fall. What they'd done was they turned on the ice maker. She was in the bathroom, heard it happening, couldn't get out fast enough. And they just pushed the thing where ice cubes kept falling out of the fridge, on the front of the fridge. And then the kid evidently went to run away when they heard mom coming, ran away and really kind of injured themselves falling on all this ice. Good night, Tabitha. Okay. How to help 5-year-old. Did I introduce myself on here yet? I don't think I did. Did I? Can someone answer me if I did or not? I don't know if I did. I don't want to keep repeating myself. No, you didn't. Okay, great. Okay. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board and my 2 boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for 3 to 12-year-olds. It's all about you and your leadership skills. I'm just setting you up as a leader. Again, the kids will follow. They instinctively follow a leader. So we're working on you here. And then you can look into my coaching if you want to work with me one-on-one. There's a wait list for that, but I'll get to you eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch us. Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. Oh, 2-year-old doesn't want dad to do anything when I'm around and she gets nasty with him. Yeah, just let it go. A good example of that, they often attach themselves to one parent. Often the mom or the one who's home with them all the time. It's often the one who changes the most diapers, who looks after them when they're sick. It's just a caregiver kind of thing. They often just want to be around. Or often it's the playmate. Dad comes home, he's the playmate. You can't figure them out. Okay, so here's what I do. Let's say, I can remember both my kids did this once. They were in the tub. Dad was giving them a bath. And they yelled out from the tub, I want mom. And I yelled back, well, you're stuck with dad, so deal with it. And they were fine. Didn't become a problem at all. They learned that they can't decide who they want, right? They love their dad too, but they just decided they wanted mom. So yeah, just say you're all right and just keep following through, okay? But they will have preferences off and on. That's okay. Two-year-old started with saying no and throwing himself to the floor when mad. Did you ask that on Instagram? If you did, I already answered that. I'm like, so, unless they hurt themselves. But if they're just throwing themselves on the ground, that would be like, oh, God, I got some free time to read a book now. Yeah, that's okay. They're allowed to do that. If they're going to hurt themselves, you might want to prevent the fall, but don't look at them or talk to them. If you think they're going to throw themselves on the ground, usually they do and they're fine, right? It's all a big show. It's drama. It's theater. I have 18-year-old girl. How to make her understand parents think all good for her. Thinks all good for her. I don't quite understand that. Maybe your English is your second language. You're an 18-year-old girl. How to make her understand parents think that. Oh, that's a different thing. Teenage stuff. I'm going to read out, they're my favorite age, by the way, teenagers. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. I've never changed it. I really like what I wrote here. I'm just patting myself on the back. Okay, these are my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they're going to ask for it anyway. Okay, they already know it. Number 2, you negotiate as much as possible with teenagers. You say something like this: hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Reciprocity, give to get, right? Respect. Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? And laugh it off. In other words, it's okay to not be perfect, right? Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. A lot of times I'll teach my clients how to connect with their teenager, and then they'll want to discuss all the hell they've put them through over the last 2 years. Huge mistake. When do you discuss the bad times? Never. Parents want to do that. It's like a source of revenge. They just want to get it off their chest. There's no reason to do that. It's just going to make things worse, okay? Your revenge is when they have their own teenagers and they complain to you. And you can do this. That's a shame. It's a slow burn. You have to wait a long time, but that's your revenge. Wait till they have their own teenagers. Okay, unless they're leaders, then they won't be a problem anyway. Okay, number 5 is you can be a right fighter with a teenager, or you can be happy. You can't be both. They'll die on any hill. Even if they know they're wrong, they'll keep arguing, okay, so long as you're willing to participate. So just say something like this. You say, I'll tell you what, let's just forget it, or let's just talk about it later, okay? You can be a right fighter, or you can be happy. That is, I used to be a right fighter when I was young. I think a lot of young people are like that. You think you know everything. And I look back on that now. I was very quick with words. And you know how later on you think, oh, geez, I wish I'd said that. I said it in the moment. I was very quick with words. Nothing to be proud of. It's not a likable quality, being a right fighter and being quick with words. If someone said something snotty to me, I was pretty good at leveling them, if someone was snotty. And it's not a likable quality. I don't like it. I don't do it anymore. Being a right fighter, not cute, not necessary. ADHD child struggles at school and getting in trouble. All the same advice here. That's not a special needs thing. That's just a little extra layer of challenging, but it's not special needs. So those are all the kids I worked with. That's where I learned all this. I didn't learn this with my own kids. I had respect from day one and kind of sailed right through the teen years. So it's all the kids I worked with. That's where I learned all this, right? Calm consistently, but also having fun. When you're disciplining, I always say stay calm during the storms when you're disciplining or when they're acting out. And then you can be crazy during the rainbows, right? When everything's fine. Three-year-old twin girls that feed off each other, how to get control. Just follow through with the behavior board. That's the training wheels with all this. They are going to feed off each other, or they might, some of them depend. You know what? I can't generalize with twins or triplets, like multiples. Some of them will do that, others won't. One's really calm, really zen. The other one's really wild. And, so you never know. They're all different. Anyway, check out the free behavior board, how to get a system in place to start your leadership. How do you handle media blackout with multiple kids in the house? Yeah, I get asked this most days. So let's say you've got 4 kids and one of them has media blackout and the rest don't. The one who has media blackout gets the run of the house, except let's say your master bedroom. So one room, and it's not a room they usually play in, right? So it's not the family room. So the other ones go pile into your master bedroom and they get a smaller screen to look at. They're usually quite happy. They all suffer a little bit because of that, but they're usually quite happy that this is happening because their other sibling gets no screens, right? You get the idea here. So the ones that are sequestered are the ones that can watch a screen. So the one that you're out in the family area with, you say to them, oh, look, you got no screens tonight. I'm going to do it with you. How about we play a game, right? So you want to connect with them. They're not in the doghouse. You've already handed out the 24-hour media blackout. It's finished. You're done with it. Now you want to connect and play a game. And they might say, no, I hate you. I hate you. Say, okay, never mind. Walk away. Maybe 20 minutes later when they've calmed down, you say, You ready for that game now? Keep trying to connect, okay? What often happens with younger kids, especially in a family, is that when the other kids in your room with the screen, and one parent might have to be supervising depending on the age, they'll come out and play the game because they'll hear you playing a game, like a board game with that kid. Then it comes out and it's family game night, right? Win, win, win. Okay. ADHD kid, perfect at school, but I don't really label kids that way. Like what I mean is ADHD to me is not a disability or in any way, shape, or form. It's just a little bit more of a challenge sometimes. So great at school, home is a struggle. Okay. The reason for that is at school, there's a couple of reasons depending on the age. If he's older, it could be social pressure. It's embarrassing to act out at school when you get older, right? So if he's not older and he's young, it means that the teacher is just a leader. That's all. Leadership, right? Systems, organize, it's all predictable. They like that, especially kids with ADHD. They like the predictable. They like to know what's coming. They like to feel in control. When they know what's going to happen next, they feel in control, right? Or partially. But at home, it's a little bit more of a free-for-all, I'm guessing. There's not as much structure. You're not a leader. So that's usually why. Sometimes it's the other way. They're great at home, not at school. Go back, and there's another reason for that. Okay. Good question. This is Hope on YouTube. At what age would you say it starts to become important to socialize your child, as in play dates? Me and my husband are pretty reclusive besides taking kiddo to the park. Well, you can take them to the library. They always have kids' activities there. Yeah, I do think it's really important to socialize little kids, but there's no set age. My kids were, I was always in play groups with my kids when they were like 3 months, 6 months onward. I think it was 3 months I started. And so we went to Gymboree when they were 6 months, I think. Always there were, you can just go to activities where there's lots of other kids around, but they don't really learn to play together until they're about 3. They'll play side by side, but they don't really interact and socialize till they're about 3. But I still think it's good for them to be around kids and have them exposed. But how much is no one knows, right? You know, and if you don't, they'll catch up. They'll survive. You know, at 3 years old, if they've never really socialized much, they'll figure it out. Okay, how do I handle my strong-willed 8-year-old? He really tests my patience and pushes boundaries. That means he wins. You're not a leader. If he can test your patience, it means you're not a leader. You haven't learned how to control it yet. So that's all on you. By the way, being strong-willed is a wonderful quality, right? It just has to be reeled in. It can be used for good or evil. Okay, so yeah, you just haven't exercised your leadership yet. He just doesn't trust you yet as a leader. So set up the behavior board. If you want the course, that's the 3 to 12-year-old boot camp course. It goes over 5 weeks. It's really, it's very intensive. It goes over 5 weeks telling you how to set up yourself as a leader. So it just means he doesn't respect you. That's all. You got to work on that. Remember, it's never the kid's fault. It's just they're reacting to your parenting. Because whenever a parent challenges me, you don't know my kid. He is really strong-willed and defiant. And I said, I've met him, hundreds of them. They just all had different names, right? And then I asked this question. I always say, well, what do you think he'd be like with me? And they always say, well, I guess he'd be pretty good. Yeah, they're all very pliable. They lean into a leader. You just got to work on your leadership skills. That's all. Okay. I can't take my kids anywhere because they yell and embarrass me. How do you handle that? 4 and 3 years old. Okay, I always say you never address attitude, and yelling is one of those things. But if they're going out and they're just screaming and it's somewhere public, they got to understand, like there's just normal behavior when they go out. They understand that already. So, but I don't know. I don't know. Like I have too many questions around that, to be honest. Are they yelling out of excitement? Nothing. I wouldn't do much about that. Like if they're at the playground, they're just all excited. Is that the kind of yelling? So I don't quite know what type of yelling they're doing. So yeah, I shouldn't have answered that because I had too many questions. Sorry about that. And plus, if they're yelling when you're out, they're 4 and 3. Your leadership, they take your umbrella everywhere. If you're a leader, they don't act out when you go out. Their behavior is the same no matter where you go because yours is. So once you're a leader, they don't act out anywhere. They just don't past the age of 3 because they carry your leadership umbrella everywhere. Are you the same parent? Are they good at home and not when you're out? Maybe that's what you're talking about. That means that you're a different parent when you're out, and they know that and they take advantage of it. You want to be 100% consistent. I was so proud of how I parented that if I had to discipline my kids when I was out, it was almost like I wanted them not, oh, come watch, everyone watch. I was really proud of it. Didn't bother me at all if my kids would have acted out because I knew how to manage it. So work on yourself and it won't be embarrassing, right? Once you set yourself up as a leader. Oh, God, I hate this question. But I'm going to answer it. I love teenagers. When is a good age to let them have a boyfriend? Trying to manage this new season. Daughter is just 14. Okay. I hate this question because there's no great answer for this. Depends on their maturity. What's the boyfriend like? Also, she's 14, grade 9, right? It's tricky. I would want to know the family of the boy, and also they should be supervised. What I mean by that is even have other kids around, never let them go in a bedroom with a closed door. A lot of parents do that because that's where their PlayStation is. They can go in the bedroom and play PlayStation or whatever, but the door has to stay open. So I just have some rules around it. They can also go out on dates potentially. You got to decide you're driving them there, picking them up. You're not staying with them on the date. Movies can be off limits for dates because anything can happen in the dark, right? And also if they're going out on a group, you want them to go out on group dates too. But not just all couples, because all couples will all couple off, right? So they'll be alone anyway. So I've got lots of different ideas around this, but there's no set answer to that. When should they start dating? Depends on the age, depends on the other kid, depends on, your relationship with your kid. Are they going to tell you everything? My kids did. And and I won't discuss when my kids started dating because that's too personal. But yeah, they told me everything. So I really felt like I had a handle on what was going on. And I was, they respected me and all that stuff. But yeah, it's tricky. I remember I used to do a lot of TV and radio back in the day when it was really popular. Now it's not. I remember once they asked me, they said, when should a teenager have, what? And I said, well, I said, I can just tell you, because there is no set age. I said, I can just tell you what I told my kids, that you can do that when you're 50, because hopefully I'll be dead by then. So, it's awkward. All that stuff's really awkward. But I talked about everything. It was open conversation. We discussed everything. The more open you are with your kids and the more of a safe place you are to land to tell anything to, the less likely they are to make poor decisions in life, right? So it's your relationship is your only real strength with a teenager because they're going to be out there, and you can't control them once they're out there. Do you know how many babies were conceived in locker rooms, behind bleachers, out in the field, and they have like spotters, to warn them if a teacher comes along. So you can't control everything. All you can control is your relationship with your teenager. That's the best tool that you've got. Do you have a list of attributes that make you a good leader? I think I wrote something down, and my daughter made me do it because I didn't want to, because there's so much that I could say and I can't come up. But I think I wrote down, the 3 leadership qualities. And I don't even like these because I want 30, but there's so many of them. But this is what I said. Number 1, calm during the storms. When you're disciplining and they're acting out, stay calm. It's a business transaction. No emotions, none. Just stay calm and almost cheery. Oh, you chose to do that. So here's what we're going to do. See my tone? It's almost cheery, a bit of a lilt in my voice. Number 2, you be crazy during the rainbows. Play with your kids. Their love language is play and fun. And you can be crazy. I used to chase my kids around the house with underpants on my head. It was a riot. They were laughing. So you're calm during the storms, no emotions. And then you're crazy during the rainbows. Play hard in their world. Number 3, this is especially with older kids and teenagers, become a great listener. You listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out, okay? So listening skills become really important later on. Yeah, my daughter made me come up with that list. It's just so short, but it's pretty, I'm happy with it. If I had to sum it up, that says a lot, but there's a lot in each of those points, right? There's just so much information in each one. It's very general. Okay. Actually, I heard the alarm go. I have to get going because I've still got stuff to do tonight. We just had daylight savings time. I'm so confused. I know we sprang forward, but what does that mean? I couldn't figure out. Is it darker in the morning? Yes, it is. I couldn't figure that out. I'm not very bright. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my boot camp course for toddlers, my boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds. It's all about you and your leadership skills. It's not, remember, we're never fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching parents here. And then you can also look into coaching with me if you want to. There's a wait list for that, but I'll get to eventually. Or you can listen to the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube. And I just want to thank you for your support with that podcast. It has far surpassed anything we could have ever imagined. It's just done really, really well. And when we first started, my daughter said our goal is we want 10,000 downloads in the first year. And that was our goal, because that's evidently really good, like with a new podcast, because there's millions of them out there. We hit 1 million in the first year, just downloads. Thank you for that. Thank you. And you know what? That means that we're helping you. That means that you're spreading the word and we're helping you. That's all free. And we love doing that. And that means that we're actually helping you become more a leader. And that is my goal up here. This is my legacy business. And I love what I do. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll be back again soon. Happy parenting. Sorry, YouTube, I'm trying to find the button here.